All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And I wanted to do a special video today just talking about the big change in the road ahead that I think is getting a little bit missed, right? That I don't think a lot of people are covering. So I want to talk about it and give you guys some really great news for this game. Something that I think has been really hurting this game for a while. I think they're finally, addressing it and making this game a lot more accessible for players. So let's get into it, guys. You know the drill first. Wampa wants to be Relic 8. All he needs you to do, get this channel to 5,000 subscribers. We get this channel to 5,000 subscribers, Wampa's going to hit Relic 8, and then maybe, out of the generosity of my heart, I will let you guys pick the next character with the stipulation that they need to be used in platoons. I don't want my guild booting me after they boot me for Wampa, probably. But let's get into it, guys. Let's talk about this. So I want to switch over to the forum post that the developers put out. And I've got it on the section I want to talk about here. So the raid-based difficulty will be around Gear 10, the Heroic Sith raid. Again, they're still working on that and may change. But this is huge, that the base difficulty that you can enter into is Gear 10, which you remember with the factions that they released, the Hutt Cartel, Jawa, Mandalorians, Old Republic, and Tuskens, for the Krayt raid. They could make another raid with 5 new different factions, which would be amazing. That would be so much fun. And again, it's going to stay at that Gear 10 is the entry level, right? That's going to get you through the door. This is so important, guys. I don't know that everybody, just let that sink in. For you to score at any level of guild, Gear 10 will start earning you points with these factions. So even if you're like, I'm so far from Jabba, I don't have good Mandalorians, but everybody's got Old Republic, right? If you have Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Revan, you have Old Republic teams at Gear 10 if you have Malak. So this is amazing. This is them kind of recognizing, because they talk about, and I don't want to cover all this stuff. I covered it, in the Road Ahead video, but they're completely taking away the Challenge Ranker raid. That is huge. The Challenge Ranker raid, I think, was their way of introducing Relic 8, introducing some other things, but really I think it was introducing that hard relic requirement that we now have for Rise of the Empire. And now with this new raid, Gear 10 is going to be that starting point. It's going to earn you rewards. So like myself, I said, I'll show you guys when I hop back to the game, like Jawas. I can take my Jawas to Gear 10 and still earn points for my guild. And I'll show you why this is going to be important. So base difficulty is around Gear 10. They have additional difficulty modifiers that can increase the challenge in exchange for applying multipliers to total points earned at the end of the raid. These difficulty modifiers are selected per player per attempt. So why is this so important? If you guys remember when the Challenge Pit raid was released, some people in guilds were ready for it and others were not. And if your guild selected Challenge Pit, you were doing the Challenge Pit, or you're doing the Heroic raiding. You're not going to score any points because you don't have the characters for that yet. Now, myself, if I was to go join a small guild, I could go put it on the highest difficulty for this new raid, and everybody else could play on the base level, and I might score more points, for the guild and earn more in my individual track, but I'm not affecting the rest of the guild with my increased difficulty. And it's per attempt. So if you have a really good Hutt Cartel team and your Jawas are only Gear 10, you can switch the difficulty between them to ensure that you're going to score the maximum amount of points on that attempt. This is huge, guys. They are, and I'm going to go back to the game here to show you what I mean by this, but they, I think, are finally addressing this relic problem that we were seeing, where for the longest time, any character that wasn't Relic 5 was useless because you couldn't use them in the pit raid. And now it's beyond that. But in the Krayt raid here, I just have 2 factions that I've got to the point, and that will be at the point by the time this hits that I will have them, like Mandalorians, Hutt Cartel. I will have those factions at Relic levels. All right, it's going to happen. They will be at Relic levels. I will be ready to go for those 2. But, yeah, they're good, right? In Mandos, they are fire already, but they finna be fire guys, right? But think of your Tusken faction. So maybe you got to get these guys to, 7 stars, but you don't have a ton of relic mats for them. Gear 10. Because if you have Lord Vader, you're going to have Tusken Raider at Relic 5. If you have Jabba the Hutt, you're going to have at Relic 5. So that leaves you Tuscan Shaman, the Chieftain, and then Tuscan Warrior that's coming into the game. Maybe get them to gear 10, get stars on them. You can use them in the raid. Then you've got your Jawas, right? Oh, Genie! That was terrible, but my voice does not go that high. So these characters, get these guys to gear 10. That's not that hard to do. I mean, it's stun cuffs, but you guys remember, they made all those gear changes to make it easier. So now Jawas at gear 10 is going to be earning your guild points. And this is how I think if you're a player like myself, where you're like, how could I contribute to this new raid with all these new characters? This is how, gear 10. So invest in some of these characters to get their gear levels up. And then you can maybe get relics here and there or bump them up a little bit higher to gear 11, gear 12 as you're progressing through. And then the Old Republic guys, and I was thinking about this, like Shorty. Shorty's such a random character, right? Like, it's so random. Why is Shorty in the game? Well, when you go to your Old Republic and you filter on them, there's exactly 10 of them now. So Shorty gives you 2 full Old Republic teams. So if you get these characters to gear 10, right, and I need a little bit of work here and there, but I've got enough that I can make gear 10 squads, I can theoretically complete 2 Old Republic teams in this new raid. So I'm really excited for this. This is a huge change. This is moving away from that, oh, like anything Relic 5 and, Relic 4 and under is useless to me. Gear 10s are making their comeback, right? This low gear stuff. And I'm just so happy. Really, really is a great change in the game. This road ahead, guys, I really think Capital Games knocked it out of the park. There's a lot of changes to raids, but I wanted to cover this one, guys. Low gear making its comeback. What does this change for you as a player? If we go back to that forum post, right, and bring that back up here. Come on now. There we go. So what they talk about is they say that, note that future raids may also thematically limit the units you can bring by faction. So we have the Krayt raid. Maybe we'll get a Wampa raid where you can use rebels and Empire and online force users, bounty hunters, right? The list could go on and on, right? That's what I think is going to be cool. It's not just that you're going to fight the Krayt for 2 years in a row. They want to make these raids and they want to make them like this, where there's these limited factions. The real reason they did this, everybody's going to think it's monetization. I'm actually going to give them benefit of the doubt here and say that part of the reason is that it's because, you could make a raid encounter so easy because Kylo can solo it, Lord Vader, Jedi Master Kenobi, like Jabba, all these characters can score crazy high in these raids. And it's so difficult to then, like, okay, you fix it for those guys, and then you get the Night Sister cheese with Jedi Knight Anakin, or General Skywalker, where they go underneath protection, but General Skywalker can't lose health while the clones are active. And so there's just so many mechanics in the game now that making a raid that limits all of them is so difficult. But you limit that to a smaller number of factions, you can make a raid that's going to be difficult, going to be fun, and that you can rotate it as you develop new ones. And that's what I think this is, guys. I think there's going to be more raids coming like this, so I wouldn't go all in and relic everything here, but get a couple of them to gear 10, gear 11, maybe a relic team, and I think you'll be good to go, guys. But that's the video. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. There's so many more changes here, but I really wanted to cover this low gear stuff because I think this is one of the best things I've seen in a long time, where they're finally addressing the relic problem in this game and saying, hey, you can use those gear 10 characters in your roster now as long as you're willing to get less points in raids. But guys, I'm going to let it go there. As always, smash that subscribe button, leave likes, leave comments, and I'll see you in the next video. May the force be with you, and I love all of you. Cheers.